Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to thank everyone who's been working so hard on criminal justice reform and on recidivism, especially recidivism. I think that's a really important thing, and so I applaud everyone who's been doing that. But I'm concerned this particular bill is going to be one of those bills that we have some buyer's remorse on. If this bill passes, I think this could be one of those bills where we come back the next session and we're naming a lot of bills after some victims because they did not receive justice at the hands of a serial offender. When we're talking about criminal justice reform, I know we're trying to target those people that maybe were one-time offenders, that made a mistake and that have been treated too harshly, and we can help them with the right things to not return to crime. But I think we need to pay special attention when we hear from not only Republican prosecutors but Democrat prosecutors who are opposed to this. And I'll just read this quickly. This is from a Pima County attorney, Democrat county attorney. They give a hypothetical. They say, let me explain why I'm opposed to this. Defendant A commits burglary on January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd. Defendant B commits burglary on January 3rd. Neither defendant has any prior criminal history. Under the current law, defendant A will be sentenced more severely than defendant B. This makes sense because A committed several crimes. Under this bill, A will be treated the same as B because he had not been convicted of and sentenced for any of the other crimes when he committed his 3 burglaries. Current section makes sense because it allows someone who is a serial offender but has no prior convictions to be sentenced more severely for his second, third, and subsequent offenses. For example, a defendant may be charged with 10 counts of the same crime on different dates, but he has no prior felony convictions. Under the current law, he would get probation on the first offense, prison for the second, prison for the third, etc. This is the idea is that a person committing serial offenses should not be treated like someone who has only committed one offense. This is common sense. I'm going to skip ahead. She just says, this makes we should. Let me just read her closing statement here since I'm running out of time. Please. We understand the desire to reduce prison time, but our efforts should be based on sound policy. This is not sound policy. So, Mr. Speaker, we should be able to look at all of the crimes that somebody committed, and a serial offender should be treated differently than a one-time. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I vote no.
Thank you. Mr. Toma.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to explain my vote.
Please, sir.
Thank you. Members, this is about leverage. I have utmost respect for prosecutors. They have a tough job to do, but really this is about leverage. The email that the Majority Leader Petersen read is technically correct, but definitely misleading. And the reason for that is A is not treated the same in that example as B. Every one of the infractions can be charged and stacked. So whatever the presumptive sentence is for every one of those infractions can be charged and stacked. What you can't do is treat them as a historical prior, which would mean that there would be enhanced sentencing for every one of those additional infractions. So, for example, if you were to commit something 3 times and say the presumptive sentence for whatever that crime was 1 year, you could stack them all together and get 3 years, as opposed to stack them together and get enhanced, which would be, say, 6 years. So again, this is used as a big hammer by the prosecutors to ensure that people go away for a long time or that they take a plea bargain. Personally, I don't think it's a common sense solution. I think that there is a significant difference between someone that has been caught, sentenced, did their time, and then chose to do a similar crime again, versus someone that's been caught the very first time and punished for every one of those crimes, potentially, but done time, been punished, if you will, and then chose to not do it again. I think there is a significant philosophical difference here. And for those reasons, I would just ask that members really look into this carefully before they make a decision to no. If any of you that have been involved with criminal justice reform, consider your vote on this particular deal. And remember that this bill passed this House virtually unanimously earlier in the session. With that, Mr. Speaker, I vote aye.
Thank you very much.